Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to installment number two of, I don't know why I did that, two of Intro to Military Finance. Right? Before we can get into the credit card game, we have to have a checking account. Right? What is a checking account? That's just where you store money, move in and out. You know, when you talk about a bank account or a debit card or something, the checking account is what it's associated with. Right? So checking and savings can be two very good things that can either help or hurt you depending on what bank you pick, what fees that you may have, whatever may go on. But being able to pick that from the get-go and understand which one you want to do your direct deposit, so your military direct money into, and then which ones can be backup for other things, is crucial. So we're going to go over kind of the benefits of both of them, and let's get right into it. So what are we looking for? Right? You want to look for something with no minimum balance fee, right? Because that's just free money for the banks if you don't have enough money. If you decide to use a different bank and keep that account open, then they're just raking in free money, putting you in debt. So you don't want a minimum balance fee. And if there is, you want that to be waived for military. So we're sort of look into. Another thing is you want no ATM fees. All right. The reason for that is if you have to use cash, you want to make sure at least, bare minimum. Some of them only have like $4 or 4 free visits or 10 free dollars, just something where if you're in a pickle, you can get there. Old phrase, I'm sorry. You can get some money out of ATM, any ATM, and it'll be fine, especially overseas is the big deal, right? It doesn't have to be unlimited, just at least one is good enough. I don't know, many people are using ATMs more than, once a month. Usually it's an emergency. If it's already an emergency, why do you want to be paying, $3, $4, $5, $6 just to get your money out? Next one is no foreign transaction fees. I'm going to abbreviate this as FTX. I know it's something different, but just a little bit easier. No foreign transaction fee. And that's mainly if you're overseas or you plan to be, or you're going to go on a deployment or something else where you think you're going to be making some foreign transactions, just not being charged an extra 3% for every transaction, pretty beneficial. All right. So this is all very niche stuff, but just think about what's important to you. And the last one is robust online banking. You're not always going to be able to be stationed near where your bank is a physical location. All right. Physical locations are nice. We all love it because it allows you to go talk to a person, allows you to deposit cash in person, right? But if you don't have a physical location, do they have robust online banking, right? If you're going to be like me in the Navy on a ship, right, that has decent internet away from home that I can still log into my online banking account, is there a robust enough app or is there a robust enough website that I could do everything I need to do without having to go in person? That is very important to us. I'm sure Army, Air Force, Marine Corps has some similar situation where they'll have access to the internet, but not necessarily a bank. All right, so here's my comparisons. I just picked really 6, not quite at random, but there's others, so don't heckle me if you guys have different values. Really, I have 4 generic banks and then kind of 2 aside ones that can show you the differences and comparisons if you don't like stuff, right? So straight off the bat, Navy Federal, right? I have Navy Federal, right? It's one of my cards. I've had them for a long time. That's actually what I use my direct deposit in. I'm thinking about switching that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I do my direct deposit, so all my military pay goes directly to Navy Federal, and I have their debit card. I try not to use that, right? Credit card game, use as much credit card as possible, but some stuff is debit-only transactions. So something is, I can't really use this overseas, right? There's a 1% foreign transaction fee on every transaction, including ATM withdrawals, foreign, right? Which is kind of weird for being like a military-specific card, and it's hidden. It's quite hidden in there, right? You wouldn't think that they would charge a fee, but they do. They do have an ATM reimbursement, so free ATMs. So if you can find an on-base ATM or find some way to get USDs, you can skip that fee and they'll reimburse you the fee. They do have a nice, robust app. I'm able to do everything I need to, bill pay, all that stuff, check balances, order new card, activate a card, mobile deposit, right? All that from the app. Very good. Another good thing, right, is they have brick and mortar stores at almost every base. So you can walk in, if you have any problem, you can walk to a store, almost every base, even if it's a small, like one counter bank. Usually they have some sort of brick and mortar, something near you. Again, not a bad choice by any means, very basic choice, but not bad, right? We'll get into later about like relationship with these banks, relationships, right? This isn't the 60s, 50s, 20s, I don't know. But talking about relationships with these banks and how that could help you out in the future. But for now, it's the end of Navy Federal. Next up is Chase, right? Chase is a very good name brand. They don't have military tailored cards. What they do have is if you go and verify your military status, they will do a lot of things that make their checking accounts a lot more practical to use, right? They have lots of fees, minimum balances, ATM fees, foreign transaction fees, all that stuff. But if you verify your military status, they will waive all that for you. Now, the only thing to be worried about is I don't know if they take it away if you leave, right? Whereas Navy Federal, even though it may not have, may not have the waived foreign transaction fee, if you leave, you could still hold your same debit card. I don't know if they're going to start charging you their minimums and everything once you get out. I'll have to look more into that. I'm sorry, I should have done that before starting the video. But just understand that these are waived fees, but the fees still exist. All right. So they waive foreign transaction fee on your Chase debit card, right? You get an ATM fee. You get 4 rebates monthly at non-Chase ATMs. If you go to a Chase ATM, it's unlimited, right? But you get 4 rebates monthly, which is really nice. They also have a very robust app. You can pretty much do anything you need to from their app. And it's good because there's lots of locations off base, right? So if you're maybe like a recruiter or someone who's stationed in a city and not necessarily at a base, there's always going to be a Chase, as long as you're in the U.S., somewhere nearby. So not like Navy Federal where it's on base or near base, it's going to be near a city, right? You can find Chase banks anywhere. Another thing is explicitly stated, right? If you're brand new, if you have zero credit, never had a credit card before, they explicitly state that having at least $250 or a qualifying direct deposit in their checking or savings accounts will help you to get a unsecured credit card off the bat. And so that is their Chase Freedom Flex. All right, their very intro card, or their Chase Freedom Rise, which is their intro card. But the Chase Freedom Rise still has a lot of benefits. I believe it's 1.5% cash back on everything, and then 3% on drugstores and dining, which is very good for their intro card. And having money in their bank account can help you get approved for the card if you have no credit or if you have very bad credit. So this is a direct benefit to the credit card game. I'm going to skip the next one real quick, and I kind of put these out of order, right? And I'm going to go to USAA, right? I also have USAA. I've never even activated their debit card. I don't use them for banking. I only use them for the one credit card and insurance. They are very good with military insurance. Every other product from USAA is trash, my personal opinion. But it's never bad to have a debit card, especially one attached whenever you have a credit card and insurance directly through them. If I wanted to, I could just pour money directly in this and have this one auto pay. And so usually a lot of banks will process internal transactions same day. I haven't got around to doing that yet, but that's the whole point of me getting this card, is I intended to do that. Also, if for whatever reason I needed to use their card for a cash advance, I can use their card for a cash advance, have it deposited in the debit account, and withdraw it immediately from debit account here. They do charge a 1% foreign transaction fee, just like Navy Federal. They have ATM fees. They do, but they have $10 of fee rebate monthly. So whatever it charges, some ATMs I've seen as low as $1.50. Some ATMs have been high as $6. So it kind of varies on how much use you can get of ATMs, but they will rebate up to $10 of the fees monthly. They also have another very robust app. Not the biggest fan of it, especially with their bill pay feature. It's kind of a little wonky when you get into the credit cards and automatic payments. It's a little hard to see what you're doing, but you could do everything you need to from the app. Not bad. Again, way better for insurance. I owe a lot less in insurance with them than I would for anything else. I just wouldn't recommend them for your primary banking if you can not do that. The next one, Bank of America. So they're another one that don't have any military specific checking accounts or types of checking accounts, but they do have military benefits. You have to go into their page and request it, which means you have to open an account first and then request military benefits. When you do that, they'll waive a lot of stuff like ATM fees. You're still going to have your foreign transaction fees. It does not get waived, but they will waive their minimums. They'll waive the transaction fees. And I'm sorry, all of these, if you have military, I believe except for Schwab, but all of these, if you have military, Schwab and SoFi, the normal banks, your 4 normal banks, will waive wire transfers, including internal wire transfers. And I believe that has to do with SCRA. That's not with the actual bank themselves. But if you have to wire money for some reason, all of these will waive that as well. So Bank of America is also another one if you want to get into their card spheres. They don't really have the best cards, but also if you want if you want a generic bank, if you don't want to go with one of the military-specific banks, Bank of America is another one that you can go with, and they're very decent. They have a very robust app. You can do anything you need. Very modern bank. All right. Kind of backtracking and going to my two little special use case scenarios. Next one is Schwab. All right, Charles Schwab. If you're going to go overseas, or you're currently overseas, using Charles Schwab as your primary checking account, if you don't really want to get in the credit card game, or you're not really that into it yet, is going to be your best bet. Schwab is the only bank that, without military benefits, so straight off the rip, that will not have zero foreign transaction fees and zero ATM fees. All right, so you don't even have to put in military for you to get that benefits. You get the benefit straight off the rip. And I don't think I actually have their card yet. I applied for the card, and it just hasn't come in yet. But the Schwab Investor Checking is very good for that stuff. You could put your direct deposit in there. Their app is robust. You could do anything you need to. You can do bill pay. You could do check deposit, mobile check deposits, transfers, anything like that. It's just a heart, right? The app is meant for investing and investors, and there's not a separate checking app. So it kind of treats your checking account like an investment account until you click into it, and then it shows like an entirely different screen. It's not the best if you really care about the app and like how it feels, right? Something that you really call in user experience, UX, is friction, right? There's a lot of friction in Charles Schwab app. If you think about the difference in investing, right? Investing with Charles Schwab and going through their app and looking at all this stuff and all the different pages and things you have to go through, and no graphics and everything, has a lot more friction than, say, if you were to invest or something with like Robinhood, where there's like pretty lines and screens and big buttons, and it's really easy to do it on your phone. And that's what we're talking about with friction. So it's not that you can't do this stuff on Schwab, it's just a little bit more difficult to learn and usually requires a few more button presses than you normally would. But it is absolutely the best for overseas, and you can kind of tie it in with your investment account and use your investment like a savings, right? Instead of putting something in a high yield savings, you could put something in the ETF or a mutual fund that make it a higher, a little bit more percentage, right? You do have the chance of it going down, but you can very easily integrate your checking and your savings with investment there in Schwab. So I think it's a very good choice if you're going to be overseas and you don't really want to get into credit cards. The last one is SoFi. So this one, I hesitate to put it on there. It's a new company, right? And they offer a lot of products, right? My fear is they offer a lot of products because they're trying to get market share. They're trying to find what sticks. Right now they offer everything from checking, savings, credit cards, investments, home loans, car loans, student loans, CDs and bonds, right? You can get anything from SoFi straight off the rip, and everything just seems a little too good to be true, but people seem to like it. The stock is going up, so it seems to be a lasting company, but I can't wholeheartedly recommend saying this is what you're going to go for. But it does have some benefits, right? If you open up a SoFi high yield savings account, which is about 3.75% APR or APY, you automatically get a SoFi checking account for free. So it opens up both at the same time. So if you want to have all your money direct deposited into your high yield savings account and only transfer over what you want to use while you're getting prepped for the credit card game, right? If you're still kind of getting into this, or maybe you're going to go in deployment, so there's not going to be a lot of opportunity to spend money, you can have your money direct deposited into a high yield savings account, making money off the rip, and you don't have to worry about that decreasing, right? Because it's not an investment. There's no chance of it going down. This is a really good thing. And then you can always get on the app or get on the website, transfer money from your savings to your checking, and spend it on the debit card. So you do have a 0.2% foreign transaction fee, and that is from MasterCard. SoFi actually covers 0.9% of it, and you're left with a 0.2%. So that's very low, basically zero. It's fine. So it is good to use for overseas. It's not zero, but it's very, very close to it. You do get for ATM fees. They do charge ATM, or they don't reimburse ATM fees, but you do get to use Allpoint ATMs for free. Allpoint is a brand of ATM, and it's the same brand that USAA uses. So if you see a USAA ATM, just know that if you have a SoFi debit account, you can use the USAA one for free, because all of those are Allpoint ATMs. They do have a very good, robust app, and in there you can have your checking, your savings, your investment, and any loans that you may have as well, all in one app. The only thing, again, I don't know if it's going to be a lasting company, but one good thing is all their stuff is FDIC insured. So if you have money in there and SoFi shits the bed, then you know that the federal government will reimburse you for your money up to $250,000. So unless you're expecting to have more than $250,000 worth of savings in the SoFi savings or checking account, the federal government is insuring your money in there. So at least you have that benefit. All right, On to an honorable mention, right? I want to say this next one is not a bank, and this is why it's an honorable mentions. And that is the venerable PayPal debit, right? People love the PayPal debit card because unlike a credit card, right, you don't have to get a credit check or credit anything. It's not a hard pull, and you get one choice of a 5% cashback category every month. And you can rotate that month, but once you select it for that month, it's then locked in for the whole month. Now, one thing I want to say was as an honorable mention, it is not FDIC insured, and it is not a bank. The money gets pulled from your PayPal cash, which is legally not a bank, and it is not FDIC insured. So PayPal at any time can just take this money away or limit how you use it or limit how you spend it, and there's nothing you could do about it because it's legally not a bank. Now, I'm not saying it's bad. People love the PayPal debit card, but only keep as much cash in there as you're needing to spend on the PayPal debit. So if you know that you have 5% cash back at, say, restaurants or grocery stores, and you know you spend about $200 a week on restaurants and grocery stores, or maybe $300, at the beginning of the week, or at the end of last week on Friday, you can submit a deposit for them for $300, so it'll be ready by Monday or Tuesday, and you can go and start spending it on the PayPal debit for that one category, and you're not never have too much money in there, okay? So this is the last thing I want to say. It's very good. I'm actually thinking about having these. I know I just posted my thing about my 5% restaurants and how I lost that by trading my 4 times points gold for the platinum. The PayPal debit is a good stopgap measure that I think I'm doing literally today. It's going to get that shipped to me so I can at least still be earning points or cash back at restaurants, which I can no longer do. Definitely going to work, but be sure that you understand that this is not a bank and it's not federally insured. So they could take away your money at any time and you're just a little sucker. Now, other honorable mentions that I do have, just because there's no fee, there's no cost in having them, but I do have a Venmo and a PayPal account because in the military often you will order food or something and split the money and you get that. And you can get their debit cards. Their debit cards are entirely free and you can just get it. The reason why I have it is, one, it's just a backup. It's always good to have an extra debit card, another way to get your money out instantly, right? You can just go tap this at a bank or tap this at a merchant and be fine. They also give benefits. So right now, the Venmo, kind of like anything else, has rotating categories. I can get 10% back at CVS this week. So if I just Venmo myself some money, if I know I'm going to CVS, I could pay with this and get 10% back. None of my other cards have 10% back or anywhere close at CVS. So this is a way that you can kind of just get some extra money back for no extra reason. I already had a Venmo account. I already use it sometimes. Just put some money in there if you're going to go use it at one of their categories. Similar thing with the Cash App one. Cash App, I believe, is having 20% off of Topgolf this week. So if I wanted to go with friends or wanted to go on a date or something and go to Topgolf, you can have 20% back by paying with your Cash App card. All right. Again, these are entirely free. I didn't pay any money to get these. I already had the account. It's not like a credit card. You can literally just stack hundreds of these together. Not hundreds. I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, then my last one is the Amex checking. So Amex just came out with a debit card that runs on the American Express network. The bad thing about this, there's 2 bad things. One, you already have to have an Amex membership rewards card. So you either have to have the green, the gold, or the platinum, or the blue business plus, right? Usually the green, gold, platinum. We'll get one of those. You have to have one of those before you can apply for this. But this is really cool because it earns 0.5 Amex points per dollar, which is not great. But if you have a merchant that will only accept debit cards, you can still earn Amex points using a debit card by swiping this. Now, the other bad thing is because it's so new, some merchants only see Amex as credit and they will not allow you to use it. It is slowly being rectified, so the longer this card is out, the more places will recognize it as a debit card purchase. But some places, like even my utilities, right? My utilities, they don't let you pay with a credit card. They make you pay with a debit card, but they don't see this as a debit card yet. It still thinks because it's Amex, it's a credit card, so it doesn't allow me to pay. I was trying to get 0.5 points on utilities. Turns out I can't. But this is the last one I have. That's kind of one of your, niche cards. I would not direct deposit on Amex. It doesn't give you any extra benefits. And because, like you said, it's not seen as a debit card everywhere, why would you get something you can't spend everywhere? At least on this one, it's a Visa. I can swipe it anywhere in the world. Even if I have foreign transaction fees, if I need to, I could swipe it anywhere in the world. This, it's still an Amex. Some places don't accept that. but it's a good thing to have just in case, right? It was free to get. Good here. All right, now let's go into, what these the bank relationships will give you. What these credit cards with these banks already have. And remember, this isn't a credit card video, so I'm just going to go over real quick so you guys can just understand these card names and know who they're associated with. So Navy Federal, if you have Navy Federal and you're looking to get in the credit card game, the very first card I would get is the Cash Rewards, right? It's the green one. If you want to see in there, it is the best, right? They have three options. You have Cash Rewards Plus, and the Secured. If you have no credit or really bad credit, you might only be eligible for the Secured, but it's okay because they allow you to upgrade to the unsecured card later. We'll go into that, but just understand secured cards are going to have a very small line of credits and will need cash up front. The difference between the regular and the plus, the regular earns 1.5% cash back everywhere all the time, but your credit line is usually going to be less than $5,000, so $4,999 or less. Your Cash Rewards Plus is a Visa signature card, which means that you are going to have a credit line over $5,000, right? And if you're accepted for a credit line over $5,000, you'll get the Plus, which will get you 2% cash back everywhere. So an extra 0.5% all the time. It's a very good catch-all card because it's Visa and it's 2%. You can pay anything with that, and it's better than earning 1 point anywhere or 1% anywhere. 2% is fantastic. And that is also their best card, right? It's the same card there. Honorable mention is their More Rewards Amex. So it is under the American Express transaction network, but it's not issued by American Express. It's issued by Navy Federal. And that's a little bit different, right? Visa doesn't make their own credit cards. MasterCard doesn't make their own credit cards. Discover does, right? And Amex does. But Amex also licenses the Amex network to other cardholders. So the More Rewards Amex is really good because it'll get you some extra benefits at gas stations and grocery stores. All right. Next one is Chase. If you're brand new, the Freedom Rise is great. It also pairs with their bank. Remember, if you have at least $250 or a direct deposit attached to your checking or savings account, you will have a better odds of getting the Freedom Rise or even the Freedom Rise unsecured line, which is very good. Their best card, I would say, is the Sapphire Reserve, kind of off the rip. Best card for military, right? It's a very high earnings card or high annual fee card, and it's right there on par with the Amex Platinum, right? The Chase Sapphire Reserve is the Amex Platinum for Chase. All right, it gives you some different benefits, and it's a different points reward category, so there's a reason to have the both of them, especially if you're in the military. The great thing about Chase, though, is because all of their cards are in one big line. If you have the Sapphire Reserve, you get out of the military, you don't want to spend the $700 a year, you can downgrade it all the way to the Freedom Rise or the Freedom Unlimited and pay $0 annual fee and keep that credit line open and keep the credit history open, which is very nice. An honorable mention is a Ritz-Carlton card. That's going to be one of my stretch goals. You can only product change up to the card. So you have to get one of the Chase Marriott Bonvoy cards. So the Visa Marriott Bonvoy cards, not the American Express ones. And you have to have that for at least a year. And you have to have at least a $10,000 credit limit on that card. And you can product change up to the Ritz-Carlton. The reason why everyone loves that is it gives a yearly free night bonus, but a free night up to 85K points. So it's at one of their high end. It's not enough to get a free night at Ritz-Carlton, which is kind of funny because it's called the Ritz-Carlton card, but it is a ability to get a free night at a very high end, quite high end hotel through the Marriott Bonvoy ecosystem, right? Next one is the Schwab, right? They only have two cards. So the Investor Reward is the only Schwab card. It's an American Express card, so understand it's not going to be accepted everywhere, but it's 1.5% cash back on everything, and the cash will be automatically deposited into your investor checking account. So it kind of pairs well if you have the checking account with them to also get the rewards card, 1.5% cash back deposited directly in your investment account. It's very nice. The second one, their best card, is the Platinum by Charles Schwab. We talked about that one in my last video, and that is just a normal Amex Platinum with the Charles Schwab name. There's only two differences with that one. One of them is there's extra bonuses for having extra money in Charles Schwab account. So if you have at least $250K in Charles Schwab, which is an insane amount, you get $100 back. Whatever. That's not the big thing. The big thing is it opens up a 1 cent per point redemption on Amex points, right? Chase allows you to reimburse their points at least 1 cent per point if you want cash back for their points instead. Amex doesn't like you doing that. They only value their point at 0.6 cents per point if you cash back directly. But if you have the Charles Schwab Platinum, you can convert your Amex points at 1 cent per point directly into your Charles Schwab account. So that's a good benefit to have this over the normal Platinum, and it doesn't cost any extra money. All you have to do is have a Schwab account open. You can have fucking $5 in there if you want to, but it's a very good alternative to the normal Platinum card, if that's a lifeline that you want to toss out, right? Okay, next one is USAA. They don't have very many good intro cards anymore. I don't know why they kind of got rid of a lot of their intro cards. My very first credit card, actually, I'm so mad. I don't have it. I realize I don't even know where it is. Well, I'm sorry. My very first credit card was actually USAA. They don't have it anymore. It's called a Platinum card, which is kind of funny because it's their lowest tier card. There's no points earning anything. It was a low APR card. I got it when I was 18. My parents were military, so I was eligible for a USAA account. I'd already been banking with them for a while, ever since I had my teenage job. So I'd already had a lot of history built up with USAA. Again, they don't explicitly say that they take their checking and savings history into account, but there's kind of proof that they do because I was 18. I'd never been a authorized user on the card, so I had zero credit history. My parents didn't add me on one of their cards or anything like that. I didn't have that benefit growing up, but I was able to apply for their card and get a $2,500 credit limit straight off the rip, working on a high school job, which is very, very useful. And the reason I really, really, even though I hate on USA a lot, I love them for that, because now, since that was opened prior to joining military service, it is part of SCRA benefits. So that is a 6% card. All right. I know $2,500 is not a lot, but being able to borrow $2,500 at 6% APR, just with no questions asked, is such a fantastic thing. If interest rates ever get that high, or I need to pull out money, or I need to finance something over time, normally you don't want to carry balance on cards, from month to month. But if you have one card like this where you had it open prior to joining military service, then you can use that as a financing card. And that's exactly what my USA card is. So if I were to buy furniture or appliances or something like that, that's generally a large purchase that I want to finance over time, that I'm fine financing, 6% APR is fantastic for that. It's way less than you can get with any other credit card. As a comparison, most credit cards are anywhere between 16 to 25. And I've seen them as high as 28. No one really goes above 30, because if you go above 30, then that gets into SCRA with military, and so they just cap it at 29 because they don't want to accidentally break any laws. It's a lot easier just to give everyone a 29% APR than it is to pump above 30 and actually break laws with military and have to, man up a call center or put a thing on your web or something like that. So 6% is crazy. However, they're also running a special deal right now that if you have a SCRA benefit card, they drop that from 6% to 4%. So right now I'm only paying 4%. You could buy a car on that, and sometimes, your car APR fees are going to be, could be up to 6, 8, 10% if you're that bad. But being able to pull out $2,500 as a down payment at 4% is not a bad deal, right? That allows you to kind of decrease your effective APR. Anyways, their only really intro card left is their secured card. Now, because their best card is the Cashback Rewards Plus, I would actually recommend it. This is the only time I'd recommend this for a first card, is I would recommend the secured card Amex edition. So that way you can upgrade to the Amex Cashback Rewards Plus. This is one of the best cards out there, actually. It gets 5% back at gas stations and military-based purchases, which for sailors, soldiers, Marines, airmen, whatever, is going to be most of your purchases when you're new, right? For a brand new card, if you can upgrade from the secured card to the Cash Rewards Plus, most of your money, a lot of it is going to be spent on base, so anything on military-based purchases, and gas stations at 5% back for the first couple $1,000s of spend is insane. That's a very good card. But again, you have to have the cash secured card Amex to upgrade to it, or you have to apply for it directly. An honorable mention is the Eagle Navigator, which is their travel card. And the reason I say it's honorable mention is it's their card that doesn't have any foreign transaction fee. So it'll allow you to go overseas. It's not the best for points earning or rewards categories, but it's a little bit of an intro. It's a good thing to start out with, and it's a Visa card as well. Next is Bank of America. So customized cash rewards. They also have a secured version of that. One good thing about Bank of America is they have a secured version of all of their cards. So they don't have a separate secured card like USAA and Navy Federal. All of their normal cards have a secured option. So the customized cash rewards and cash rewards secured is really great because you get to choose, right, a category to earn 5% in. So you get to customize that cash, essentially, just as it says. Very good number one top pick. So you get to, have your top spend category be 5%, which is really nice. Their best card, I would say, is the Atmos Rewards Summit. Atmos is the new rewards program for the newly combined Alaska and Hawaii Airlines. So if you're stationed out on the West Coast, there's a lot of, domestic and to the two outlying states, the non-continental states with either Hawaiian or Alaskan. And since they've now combined into one rewards program, if you fly either of them, you could fly both of them. The Atmos Summit Rewards card is a fantastic card for earning companion tickets, free bags for your, your spouse or your family, and just earning points and status with an airline that you might fly quite often. Especially if you live in Alaska or Hawaii and need to, fly back home on leave or something, getting the Atmos Rewards Summit or their other one, their Atmos Rewards Ascent, is their lower tier card, is very great. Their honorable mention is their travel rewards. Again, I almost didn't even want to put an honorable mention on here. Those are only really two good cards: the Atmos family of cards and the customized cash. Last one is SoFi. SoFi actually has 3 cards, but I put it nope on there, just like I wanted to do with Bank of America. There's only 2 that are worth getting. So you have your everyday cash rewards. Everyday cash rewards is extra cash back at, I believe, restaurants and drugstores, and then 1% or 1.5% back on everything else. I believe it's actually only 1% back on everything else. That's kind of like their intro one. Their other one is unlimited 2%. So finding these 2% cards as your catch-up card is going to be great, especially because it's also a Visa. If you already have the Navy Federal Cash Rewards, or you think that you're better off getting the Navy Federal Cash Rewards, which I think you would be, you already have 2% card, there's no point in getting it. But if you bank with SoFi, if you have investing with SoFi, you want to open up their unlimited 2% and get one that's non-military, right? Then their unlimited 2% is actually their best card. 2% cash back all the time. It's named very aptly. But this is, kind of where we're getting into. I hope we didn't lose the focus with having the banks and the checking accounts. If you guys have any other questions or idea for another video, if you guys want me to get more in depth into that stuff, I can. But after this, we're going to start rolling into the credit cards. This is kind of just an intro onto, what the differences are that the banks offer between these cards and what actually makes them different. Like, why is there hundreds of credit cards out there? Hope you guys join me in the future, and I had a good time speaking to you guys. I know that was weird.